The gavel slammed against the hardwood like a gunshot, making the walls of the cramped courtroom tremble. "Order in the court," the judge commanded, her voice slicing through the restless murmur of voices. But no one obeyed. People leaned in their seats, whispering to one another, stealing glances at the shackled man standing before them. He was thin, almost frail, but there was something in the way he carried himself, head low, back straight, that made him seem unbreakable despite the wear. His coat was frayed at the sleeves, his hair tangled, his boots scuffed to the leather. The bailiff tugged him forward, but he moved without resistance, his gaze fixed on the polished floor beneath him. Before we move further into this story, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear. Let's dive in. The prosecutor's voice was crisp, rehearsed, and cold. She rattled off the charges: trespassing in an abandoned warehouse, resisting arrest, vagrancy. "This man," she concluded, "has no permanent residence and is a danger to public order." A single scoff escaped from somewhere in the gallery. The man's rough, scarred hands shifted slightly, but he stayed silent, his expression unreadable. The judge tilted her head and asked simply, "Name?" The man lifted his gaze for the first time, and though his voice was raspy from disuse, it carried weight. "Corporal James Dalton, United States Marine Corps." The room went still. From the back row, an older man wearing a weathered VFW cap pushed himself to his feet, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. "James Dalton, Kandahar, 2012. His voice cracked with disbelief. Whispers spread like wildfire through the crowd. Another man stood, then a woman, their faces tightening with recognition. The judge pounded the gavel again. "Order," she demanded, but even she seemed unsettled by the sudden shift in the room's energy. The prosecutor tried to regain control. "Your Honor, whatever his military history," she began. A voice cut her off, deep and booming from the back. "Whatever his military history. This man dragged 2 of my brothers out of a burning Humvee while enemy fire lit up the desert. I'm alive today because of him." Dalton's eyes closed. He didn't need to be reminded. He could still feel the suffocating heat, still hear the deafening chaos of that night. The air tearing apart with gunfire, the sand kicking up in violent clouds, the desperate weight of a man slung over his shoulder. But after the war, there had been no crowd to stand for him, no gavel to protect him. There had only been silence. Before the war, Dalton had a home in a quiet neighborhood, a wife who sent letters written in neat cursive, each sealed with a kiss in red ink, a son who drew tanks and stick-figure soldiers labeled Daddy in crayon, slipping them into envelopes addressed overseas. He'd believed that when his service was done, life would pick up, where it left off. But war didn't end when his boots left the sand. It lived on in the shadows of his mind, in the sudden rush of adrenaline when a car backfired, in the way certain smells could rip him from reality and plant him back in the middle of a firefight. Nights became sleepless battles with his own thoughts. His wife tried, God, she tried, but the distance grew into a canyon neither could cross. The divorce papers came in the same week the bank claimed the house. He floated between low-paying jobs, each one ending the moment his symptoms bled through. Crowded spaces, bright lights, sudden noises, they all became triggers. Employers stopped calling back, friends stopped visiting. Soon the only constant in his life was the bag slung over his shoulder, stuffed with everything he owned. On a freezing night in January, searching for shelter, he slipped into an abandoned warehouse. That's where the police found him, unshaven, exhausted, and with no defense but the truth. He had nowhere else to go. The judge studied him now with an expression that had softened since the moment he spoke his name. "Mr. Dalton, is all this true?" He nodded once. "I'm not proud of where I am now," he admitted quietly, "but I'm not dangerous. Just tired." The veteran in the back ignored the bailiff's warning and stepped forward. "Your Honor, you can't treat him like a criminal for surviving the war this country sent him to fight." A woman in the front row rose, her voice trembling. "My brother served with him. He didn't make it home. But he always said Dalton was the bravest man he'd ever met." More voices followed. One by one, people stood until the entire gallery was on its feet. A silent wall of respect that filled the courtroom with an unshakable weight. The prosecutor faltered, her voice shrinking as the judge turned toward her with a cold glare. "This court," the judge said firmly, "recognizes service, sacrifice, and the obligation we have to those who've borne the battle. Mr. Dalton, I will not send you to jail." The room erupted in applause, not the kind born from entertainment, but from deep, soul-rooted gratitude. The judge waited for quiet before continuing. "Instead, I am ordering you into a veterans assistance program, housing, counseling, job placement. You deserve a path forward, not a cell." Dalton's voice cracked as he replied, "Yes, ma'am." The older veteran walked down the aisle, saluting him. "You're not alone anymore, brother." The bailiff removed the shackles, and the gallery remained standing. Some saluted, others placed hands over their hearts. Every set of eyes held the same message: respect. Dalton walked out of that courtroom not free from his past, but free from the crushing weight of being invisible. Never judge a man by his lowest moment. Behind every weary face may be a hero who once stood in the fire for others. If this story touched you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know how you feel in the comments.